Hello, I am Tarık Toros. Welcome to What's Happening in Turkey. Crisis after the Demirtas ruling, Ankara's two dilemmas, and the battles beyond Erdogan. The European Court of Human Rights has rejected Turkey's appeal and confirmed that the imprisonment of Kurdish political leader Selahattin Demirtas is a violation of his fundamental rights. The decision is now final. Ankara, though clearly unhappy with the verdict, has said it will comply with the ruling. Yet Demirtas remains behind bars. At the same time, President Erdogan continues to keep his main political rival, Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, under constant threat of prosecution while tightening control over the media. Just this week, 6 journalists were summoned for questioning, and 5 of them were banned from traveling abroad. Adding to the tension, it was revealed that Istanbul's chief prosecutor, who leads the investigations against İmamoğlu and several journalists, also sits on the board of a foreign company tied to President Erdogan, managing a substantial budget, a fact confirmed by official records. Now, Ankara faces 2 options: to fulfill and accelerate the crackdown, or to ease tensions through selective releases and give the democratic process a brief moment of air. Turkey is entering one of its most fragile periods in years. Let's dive in. Demirtas, the release riddle. The European Court of Human Rights has now ruled 3 times that Demirtas' imprisonment violates his rights: in 2018, 2020, and most recently on 8th of July 2025. The final word came on 3rd of November when the court's Grand Chamber rejected Ankara's appeal and declared that Demirtas has been kept in prison for political reasons, ordering his immediate release. Under Turkish law, ECHR rulings are binding and must be implemented without question. Before the failed coup attempt of 15th of July 2016, President Erdogan, although often reluctant, generally abided by these rulings. Even Turkey's own constitutional court decisions were fully enforced. But since 2016, the rule of law has been dramatically weakened. In today's highly centralized presidential system, neither the judiciary nor the political leadership feels bound to follow such international judgments. Instead, Ankara often defends its courts for openly defying them. This time, however, there is a new twist. The government's smaller but decisive coalition partner, Devlet Bahçeli, leader of the ultranationalist MHP, made an unexpected statement: Demirtas' release, he said, would serve Turkey's interests. The next day, Erdogan hinted that he might comply, declaring, "We will follow whatever the judiciary decides." Turkey Justice Minister Yilmaz Tunç added that they were waiting for the official notification from the ECHR, a remark widely viewed as a delay tactic, since Demirtas should have been released immediately upon announcement of the ruling. Meanwhile, the pro-Kurdish DEM party, which succeeded Demirtas' former party, the HDP, remains cautiously optimistic but visibly tense. On the opposition side, CHP leader Özgür Özel has publicly apologized to Demirtas 9 years late. Back in 2016, it was with CHP's parliamentary support that lawmakers lifted the immunity of Demirtas and other HDP deputies. Soon after, Demirtas was arrested at his home in Diyarbakır and sent nearly 1,700 kilometers away to Edirne prison, where he has now spent 9 years behind bars. Frost has melted between the allies, but distance remains. Last week, tensions escalated between Turkey's ruling coalition partners. MHP leader Devlet Bahçeli openly expressed his displeasure by speaking the Republic Day reception at the presidential palace, an act loaded with symbolic meaning in Turkish politics. But this week, mediation efforts seem to have calmed the waters. Erdogan's warmer remarks were read as a gesture of reconciliation, and for now, the alliance appears to have returned to an uneasy peace. Still, the friction runs deeper than routine political bargaining or bureaucratic appointments. The real question is, what happens after Erdogan? That question dominated Ankara this week after an unusual controversy involving Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, a former intelligence chief and widely viewed as one of Erdogan's possible successors. Following an inquiry by the opposition, the Higher Education Council clarified that Fidan's undergraduate degree, obtained from an American university operating in Germany, does not invalidate his later master's and doctoral degrees in Turkey. Yet the diploma itself, from the University of Maryland University College in Germany, has become the center of a political storm. Rather than settling the issue, the clarification only amplifies speculation about Fidan's legitimacy and his position in the succession race for the post-Erdogan era. The chief prosecutor managing 500 million euros in Luxembourg. Perhaps the most explosive revelation of the week came from opposition leader Özgür Özel, who presented official documents showing that Istanbul Chief Prosecutor Akın Gürlek, the figure behind many high-profile political trials, sits on the board of a Luxembourg-based company, despite Turkish law prohibiting such dual roles. Even more striking, the company, ETI Mine, is directly connected to Turkey's Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is chaired by Erdogan himself. The company manages operations estimated at around 500 million euros, making Gürlek's involvement both legally and ethically troubling. Neither Gürlek nor the government has issued an explanation, but two telling developments followed. First, only one day after these documents were made public, Turkish authorities ordered the detention of 5 journalists linked to an investigation targeting Istanbul opposition-led municipality. The journalists were accused, without concrete evidence, of being part of İmamoğlu's alleged media network. They were later released but banned from leaving the country. Meanwhile, a social media user was arrested simply for posting a publicly available photo of Gürlek's wife, who, in a remarkable coincidence, serves as a board member at Turkey's Capital Markets Authority, directly appointed by Erdogan. Taken together, these incidents have cast serious doubt on the integrity of the judiciary and fueled suspicion that the government's vocal support for Gürlek is an attempt to divert attention from the financial trial in Luxembourg. Ankara's dilemma. Now Ankara stands at a crossroads. Will it deepen repression and the rule by fear, or take a step back, comply with the ECHR's decisions, and release Selahattin Demirtas and others? Either way, the choice will shape not only Turkey's political climate, but also its standing in Europe and the world. We won't have to wait long to see which path it chooses. I am Tarık Toros. You've been watching What's Happening in Turkey. See you next week.